For 41 years, a man who is being called a real-life Tarzan lived in a jungle and apparently had absolutely no idea that women even existed. And if you have a lot of questions after hearing that, trust me, so did I. I'm gonna get into all the details in just a moment, but first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. This story is absolutely incredible. A man named Ho Van Lang, who is 49 years old, has been living with his father in a small Vietnamese village 8 years after the pair were rescued from an isolated life in the jungle. Lang and his brother Trian and their father originally fled civilization back in 1972 during the Vietnam War. This move became important for their safety after a US bomb took the lives of his wife and 2 of their children. Even in 2021 though, his father still has a profound phobia that the Vietnam War is not over. For Lang, he has lived the vast majority of his life deep in the jungles of Vietnam. Out of the necessity for life, he has become more than proficient in hunting for food and living entirely off the wilderness found in the jungle. He's eaten everything as well, ranging from fruit to even eating snakes, lizards, and monkeys sometimes. The YouTube channel called Castaways captured an interview with Lang, which is where we are getting all of this information from. When asked by the interviewer if he knew what a female was, Lang mentioned that his father had never really explained them to him, which is a funny response to that question in general. The only first real contact that he had with the opposite sex was when he was brought to the village where he now resides. Even when he lived in the jungle, he had only ever saw 5 people that he did not know. On every occasion, these people all ran away or hid from him. Alvaro Cerezo originally tracked this unique family back in 2015 and said that they always escaped when they would see other people in the distance, most likely because of the fears that his father had instilled in him regarding other people. If mentally you still believe that the Vietnam War was going on, it would make sense that they would continue to try and avoid other people who could pose a potential threat to them. On the Castaway Instagram, they gave a bit more of a backstory for Lang and said, "A Vietnamese boy and his father hid in the jungle and lived there for 41 years, completely isolated from the rest of the world. They believe the Vietnam War was still ongoing. 3 years ago, they were captured and taken back to civilization. In 2016, we convinced him to go back to his jungle for the first time. We spent 5 marvelous days surviving in the place that he came from. Our intention was to learn new survival techniques from him, but without realizing we discovered one of the most endearing people we had ever met. Aside from just learning about women, perhaps the hardest adjustment for Lang has been his lack of social skills. As per Mr. Cerezo, more surprising still is that today, despite being able to distinguish between men and women, he still doesn't know the essential difference between them," adding, "I can confirm that Lang has never had the minimum sexual desire and his reproductive instinct has never shown its head in any of its many facets. What's a little bit scary though is that his own brother has described him as essentially a baby in a man's body. He doesn't understand many basic social concepts because of this isolated life. You have to remember that he basically spent his entire life in the jungle. If someone asked him to beat someone up, he would do it severely." Again, this is according to his own brother, who also added that he just doesn't know the difference between good and bad. He simply knows how to survive. Although, man, what a time to return to civilization. I bet once COVID hit, he questioned why he ever came back. Nonetheless, Mr. Cerezo said that he is happily adapting to his new life and loved to see animals actually being friendly with people, because this was quite a stark contrast compared to the much more hostile dynamic of his past life in the jungle. But we would love to hear your thoughts on this story though, so make sure you drop us a comment down below. And while you do that, I'm gonna check out some of your comments from the video titled "Perez Hilton and Us Weekly owe Britney Spears an apology." Boy, do they ever. Metal Rocks Me says $200 million doesn't even scrape what they've taken from her. Oh, I feel like you're right on that one. $200 million for, what was it, like 13 years? Yeah, that's not even close. Athena says, "I cringed so hard when he said I just wanted to hug her." Yeah, that's Perez. Britney does not need your hugs. Not at all. HiQ says, "Justin is trying to save face. Timberlake is a terrible person, especially after what he did to Janet and didn't speak out for or with her." Yeah, it feels disingenuous. I'm happy that you guys are getting that too. Every time I see one of these celebrities that had a major role in this conservatorship, really, and just in the image that we had of Britney Spears at that time, it just doesn't sit right with me. It just feels like they are trying to save face, like you said. Bath World says, "They owe her so much more. She should sue everyone and every tabloid out there. They should pay her for 13 years of damage and pain that they put her through." 100%, and I really do hope that Britney Spears gets some sort of compensation for this. Maeve says, "Perez is a monster. He also did this to Amy Winehouse when she was battling her addiction. Making fun of people with mental health or addiction issues is just cruel." It certainly is, and that is like a lot of people's lowest points in their life. And the last thing they need, regardless of being a celebrity or a normal person, is to be blasted on the internet for what is essentially a mental health issue. Addiction is a mental health issue. Either way guys, that has been today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy YouTube, or at least try.